What's up? What's up? What's up? Crypto Weekly Review Connect. What's going on, everybody? I know there's a little bit of a lag here, so I'm just going to do some shout outs. What's up, Blackwood 11? What's up, Danny Chop? Not Your Enemy. What's going on, guys? What's up, Last? Shout out to you, bro. I'll give you a howl. All right, guys. I am back. I'm with Funding Jim. I'm back on the throne, taking over for Richard. He is in the other room working on PulseChain, PulseX. What's up, Cornholio? Pass the like collection plate around, guys. Go ahead and donate a like if you'd like to. And we'll start out with a little bit of TA quick. Let's get through this. What's up, Mike? Let's get through some of this TA really quick. There are some things going on in the market. This is kind of a make or break Monday for the S&P 500. We had a really, really big correction. And remember that S&P 500 is just a leading indicator. It's a crystal ball into what's going on in the cryptocurrency space. So we keep a close eye on it. Yesterday, I drew this trend line. Now, remember, we broke out of the bear market trend line right here, and I found this other trend line, and it is actually very interesting if we zoom in. Now, last Friday, we got some bad PCE data. Inflation is heating back up. People panicked. The market dumped back into the bearish channel, back into the bear market, but it did bounce. And today we had a gap open in a lot of indecision. It's been pumping right now. It is below 4,000, which is really not what you want to see. I expect a little bit more rockiness. I expect a little bit more volatility, which is going to be, of course, a buying opportunity because we are accumulating. We're like 1 year from the halving right now. I think it's like March 14th, 2024 is when the halving is. Remember, the halving is a block height. It is not a date. So it's going to be changing as the hash rate continues to hit new all-time highs. So now Bitcoin did start out pumping. It is in lockstep with the S&P 500 right now. We did get a nice bounce today all the way up to 23,870. But as the S&P dropped, so did Bitcoin. And I mean, it was like 10 minutes later, Bitcoin started following. And this is the point of control right here. It is at 23K flat. So this is the important part to hold right here. We did get a bounce off of this area. If this fails, if 23 fails, I mean, I could really see us come back down to the 200 EMA about 21.7. There's a lot of long liquidations. I mean, billions right there that could easily flush us down to the primary pivot right here, about 21, and maybe even the bear market trend line, the bear abla for Bitcoin. And that is very important because, as you know, if Bitcoin flushes, so will everything else. One other thing, look, I did take some profits on some trades that I took earlier on in February that I posted, and I have not really got back in on those. I'm mostly long on the market. I'm mostly bullish, and I'm accumulating to the next bull market right now. So I'm looking for a re-entry on some of those, and I believe that we're going to continue to dump. Of course, you know, if we don't if we don't find a swing low, then I have to buy back in higher, which is okay because I had some juicy profits that I locked in. That is part of the game. So let's zoom out. This is the part that really, really worries me, okay? We have bearish divergence here on these two moves. That's ugly. And it's not just bearish divergence, but it's pretty nasty ones. And we have the CPI coming out here in 2 weeks. We have the GDP. Now, we have some early numbers on the GDP coming out that it's 1.7. And last time it was, last GDP print was 2.7. So that's 1 whole point dropped. That is not good. That's going to spook the markets. That's coming up in the next couple of weeks. And then we have earnings finishing up in March. Now, after earnings finish up, there is going to be no earnings until right around June. So I think once we get through this rocky period, we pump into the whole notion of sell in May and look away. You know, I really think we're going to get a bullish spring, but I think there's going to be a swing low set. We have not set it yet. Look at this bearish divergence. I mean, this is ugly. Look at the volume divergence on this Bitcoin move. This right here is telling me that we're probably going to roll over. We're probably going to flush out some longs. And then I believe we're going to continue up unless, of course, everything implodes. All right. Now, I just noticed today that the inverse NASDAQ has like 6.1 trillion. It's at ATH. So people are bearish the market. I think that tech stocks are kind of dumping off today, and I think they're going to continue lower for a while. And I think that's going to drag Bitcoin down, which is going to drag my altcoin positions down. The only one right now, you know, like my Doge and Sheep positions are kind of nothing burgers. I'm really not interested in adding to those anymore. They sort of underperformed. Remember, the market's going to tell you what it favors, and I just don't see Sheep and Doge favored. I do see Floki, which is named after Elon's Shiba Inu. It is pumping. It's both on Ethereum and both on Binance Chain. I'm kind of interested in that, but it's up like 240 some percent. So I'm going to chill out and maybe pick up some Floki this time around. So yeah, let's take a look at Hex. This is the main thing that I'm interested in. This is the main thing that I want to accumulate. And I did see something really, really crazy here. Now there's no divergences or anything like that, but I do see there's a golden cross right here. So that is a golden cross on Hex. And I can't really tell you the last time that we had a golden cross because TradingView got rid of V2 for Hex. So now we don't have much data. We only have data up until let's see, July 21. All right. So that chart is frozen. We lost a crap ton of data. That is not good. But I did draw the bear market trend line here anyway. And there is my ascending triangle breakout that I drew. And this trend line is so real. I always post feel the power of the trend line. Look at how beautiful this move is right here. We had a correction. This is a bull flag. We dumped down to the 21 EMA and got a 30% bounce when Richard Hart tweeted about that PulseChain V3 bugs are squashed. That sounds good. Now, I am looking to accumulate Hex lower, okay? I'm not going to lie. I'm not FOMOing in. I have all my Hex. I have most of my Hex. I have orders set for Hex down in the ranges of here. I got 4.4, 3.5, and 3, and also a lot lower, just in case, okay? We do have this dude right here. He is a known dumper. He has approximately 127 million Hex. I'm thinking he might be looking for the door. So I have orders set just in case. Just in case we start dumping, I want to accumulate as much as I can reasonably, okay? But here's some of the concerning things about Hex. Yes, this is beautiful. This is textbook. Like you could teach a course off of this price action. I mean, look, ascending triangle, breakout, boom. Then we got above the bear market trend line, which is awesome. And then we wrote it down, confirming it. Like, how do you know this trend line is real? Well, first off, it has to have 3 touches, but look at all these confirmations. This is just telling you I'm real, okay? So then we dumped below the trend line. This is when everything was kind of dumping last weekend, but got to pop up the 21 EMA, and that's crazy. The God Whale stepped in and bought at 55. That was our first target in the Telegram chat. That is the top of the ascending triangle. 5.5 cents, excuse me. And we did get a nice bounce off of that area. Actually, we dumped first to 5.3 and then popped up 30% rise. Now, here's the bad part, okay? What I would have loved to seen if this perfect bullish action continued, I would have loved to seen us take out the high at 7 cents. Okay, so we didn't reach the high. We actually didn't even take out this wick over here. So technically, off news like that, I'd really like to see us bounce off this trend line, which is gorgeous. This is exactly what you want to see. This confirms the trend line, confirms our trading strategy, and shows that we have a nice pop. But the problem is we didn't take out this high. We didn't take out this high and on extremely low volume. I mean, like the volume is so low, like it's not even past the American flag. We don't even know if it's there. It's playing high and go seek over here. That's very, very low volume on this move. Of course, the day isn't over. We have a few hours left in the day. We could get some more volume coming in. Now, I was watching the Hexy Stannis bot, the HexWin bot, and I was watching people buy and stuff, and there was not very many people buying, man. It did not give me a FOMO. It did not give me FOMO. So I think that Bitcoin's going to roll over. I think the S&P is going to roll over, and I'm hoping that it goes into my buys. If not, I'm happy. I have Hex, like I have stakes, like I'm going to be good, but I definitely want more. So I'm feeling that kind of urge to get in because I know the V3 thing is coming. They said they're working on it. So probably, 2 more weeks, but 4 more weeks, maybe. So we're waiting on that, but the hype is definitely building on that. So with that, it'll be interesting to see if we can take out 7 cents. Okay, it's before dumping lower. I really, really think that we correct a little bit off of this. This is a huge move, no pullbacks. I think we set a swing low. What does a swing low look like? Probably ideally, I'd like to see it at least come down to like 3.5 cents. That's ideally. Ideally, I would love to see it come down here and then pop back up. I mean, it'd be a slow kind of grind like that, but we'll see what happens with the markets. We'll see what happens with Bitcoin, and if we actually get a swing low, because remember, Bitcoin really didn't either. I mean, it's has not had a proper pullback. They call it a lower high, whatever you want to call it, a swing low. I'd like to see it come down here and boom, test 20K and then pop up. And at that point, to be honest, I would probably be all in. I'm about 50% in. So I would be all in. So I'm hoping for a chance to buy. I see a lot of guys hoping for a chance to buy. So let's hope we get a little bit of a correction. Overall bullish. The Fed Jefferson did come out today and say that some hawkish things. He said that expect a recession in the end of this year. I mean, that's possible. But we'll see what happens. That's kind of what dumped the market, because we did have a huge gap up bounce on the S&P 500, and it all pretty much retraced, now rejecting 4,000, even confirmed my trend line that I just drew yesterday. So we'll see what happens. This market is in indecision mode. Dude, we have to bounce here. Look, this is the bear market trend line. We need a big move off of this. This could be a confirmation, just like Bitcoin. Remember, Bitcoin right here, it bounced off its bear market trend line and set a new high. That's what we really need to see in the S&P 500. If not, we're definitely probably going to roll over, and it's going to sink everything down with it. So I have some dry powder. I hope, actually, I kind of hope that's what happens. Like, give us a proper pullback. Let's get in, and then it'll be off to the races. As far as, are we going to go into recession, or is the world going to end? Are the bombs going to drop? Or, you know what I mean? Like, who knows? But I'm not going to sit around and position myself for the end of the world. I'm going to position myself for the up market, because if the world ends, it's not going to matter anyway. Okay. So anyways, with that, I thought I'd do a quick recap on the TA. Not impressed with that bounce. Not impressed with this bounce right here for the S&P 500, or for Hex, off of that huge news. But with that, I'm going to add Funding Jim, man. What's going on, dude? How are you? You are.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
That's terrific. Yeah, so I need to switch over to Melon altogether. I like the streaming platform.
Yeah, it's slick, huh?
A little bit better, yeah, for sure, than StreamYard. But
what do you think? Before we jump into, there's a lot going on with Hex, man. There's a lot. There's never a dull moment in the Hex community. Literally, all you got to do is open Twitter, and it's comedy, it's craziness, it's like it's drama all day. Hex implodes once a week. That's why we love it. That's why it's addicting. It's our Hex soap opera, right? But before we jump into that, I'm just curious what you think on this move. Obviously, we're above the bear market trend line. We confirmed the daily uptrend right here. Actually, technically, a confirmation would be taken out 7 cents, but that can still happen. Okay. But we touched the 21 exponential moving average. Things look great, but low volume and didn't take out the highs off of such big news. What's your take on it?
So I thought I had seen that it had crossed 7.1 cents, but I don't know if that was looking at a aggregator. I can't remember where I saw it. Maybe I was looking at 1 inch or something like that. How do you pull your data? Are you pulling it from Uniswap V2, or how do you pull this? I'm not sure.
This is V3. I like V2, even though it's lower volume, but I like it better because it has all the history of Hex. Like, I think it's from like May 2020 and up. So it's not all the history of Hex, but it's as close as you can get. But they stopped supporting it yesterday, and it froze at 5.8 cents, right? And so now I'm using V3, which only has data, up until like 32 cents. Like, it has no data. So our volume nodes are screwed. Some of our long-term logarithmic stuff is screwed. So we're going to do the best we can with what we've got. It very well may have went to 7.1 cents, but it's a trading view. Who the heck knows?
Yeah. I think I had seen it, and I can't remember where. I have to look at the source, but I thought I had seen it after Richard made another tweet. It was an addition. What was he just said? I think it was a screenshot or something like that. Oh no, I can't. So there's been so many things in the last 24 hours. I think that one was Richard had responded to Elon Musk's "Have a happy Sunday." It's the first day of the rest of your life, or something like that. And then that got picked up. His response to Elon got picked up by some news outlet or something.
Daily Wire.
It was
Daily Wire UK.
Yeah, it was. So it was. I guess it was Elon letting 1/10 of the employees go, like 10% of his employees, his remaining employees. So it went from like 2,200 employees down to under 2,000.
Yes.
And I thought that was interesting. Just I don't think that Richard had some insight about the firing that was going on necessarily. I think it was just him being coy and responding, but it was good timing as far as that went. And
Well, I
then
have a conspiracy theory that I think that there's somebody at Daily Wire that's a hexagon and they slipped it in there like an Easter egg. Because let's be real, if you worked at the Daily Wire and you saw Richard responded and you have a huge platform and you want to low key shill Hex, you want to low key shill Richard and put it, plaster it in front of like millions and tens of millions of people, would you do it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think anybody wants to get the message out. If it's a good message and you're trying not to cause harm, you're trying to say, here's a protocol, here's a founder that's outrageous. Here, most of the inventive and interesting and unique things of human existence have been through eccentrics, and Richard is an eccentric to me.
And a savant.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that it is our desire to get him in front of bigger audiences. So yeah, if there's opportunity, whether it's Daily Wire or other outlets, to get and of course he did have, out of all the responses to the tweet that Elon had put out, I think Richard's number of retweets or comment or likes was very high. So that helps, of course, the algorithm push it up to the attention of someone that's going to create a journalistic story around that.
Yeah, Richard really is the Howard Hughes of crypto, right?
The long fingernails. He just needs the long fingernails. He already has the top hat and oddities of his. I don't know if he pees in jars and lives in a hotel room, but
Hey, anything's possible. Let me check around. I'm over here on the throne. I don't see anything. But so this right here was a screenshot of when they knew the bug was dead. All of this stuff might as well be Chinese to me. I don't really understand code. It all looks the same. It just looks like algebra to me. But yeah, it looks like the bug is squashed. So how long do you think? I know last night we were talking and you said this thing's like 90% uploaded as long as they don't trip up over anything else. I mean, V3.
Yeah, I mean the reference I go to when it comes to any of these things, I obviously don't have any expertise in any form of programming really beyond SQL or something ancient. It was Gamma Dev Ops is the place to go and learn about. So he's got a Twitter handle of Gamma Dev Ops OPS, and he also has a Substack that has a lot of the walkthrough, and some of his earliest content, maybe 2 or 3 weeks old, is here are the 16 steps of synchronizing these nodes. And there was a hubbub a few weeks ago between, I think, Katie and HVid making content about the timing of when we might go to a test net or to things like that. And Gamma was a very logical person that explained the Ethereum synchronization for Ethereum 2.0 and how that worked out and the timing of how that process occurred. So I'm drawing on him. I draw on, of course, other people that, if it's direct or indirect contact is Steph or other people that are programmers, people that basically deal with code all the time and understand that even the pitch a year and a half ago about making a copy state of all of Ethereum is a more of a challenge than was let on. So I try and draw on information of people that deal with this all the time.
That's what PulseChain really is, right? It's a backup driver for Ethereum. We got it all right here, guys.
It's up on Google Drive right now. I think 13 terabytes is on Google Drive. You can just download the Ethereum network.
All right. So now Richard Hart did, hold on, let me look at a second here. Okay, so you're thinking that from Gamma DevOps, is that his name?
Yeah, so we've heard that there's 16 stages, and the thought might be that they were equally spaced, because we were on stage 8 for some time, that now we're halfway, 8 being the middle of 16 stages. But that's not necessarily true. And the way that Gamma Dev explained it in one of his first videos, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, was that these are weighted, that the more difficult parts are earlier in the synchronization between the different nodes, and that the less difficult parts are toward the end. basically. So a majority of the time, as far as just the hype, the speculation about timing is behind us.
So
Even though
2 more
it's
weeks.
9 out of 16 stages.
So about 2 more weeks then.
Yeah, I was making some jokes yesterday, and it was something like, we are 2.4 days. It's been 2.4 days since the sacrifice. A lot of people don't realize that. It's only been 2.4 days. And that's if you're a Venetian. If you're living on Venus, then a day is like 240 days or something like that on Earth.
Well, I feel like one day in crypto is like 365 days in real time. It just so much happens. It's so fast. If you look away for 2 seconds, you're completely behind. So
Yeah.
what I was really, really interested in this right here. Let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little controversy. I'm going to put the screen share back on. So who is this guy right here? This crypto Artie, is that right?
Yeah, so I haven't seen a lot of his content, but apparently BitBoy was having a live meetup. I saw that Corey Costa was doing some pictures with BitBoy. I don't know where they're at. Maybe they're in New York or somewhere. And also, I saw that Miss Teen Crypto, even though she's 20 now, so Teen Crypto was there. So I saw Corey was making posts 6 or 7 hours before this post came up.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, Crypto Artie was in the audience, and he did a video of asking BitBoy about Richard Hart and about the Hex product or something like that. I don't know if you can play it with sound, but that might be helpful.
Yeah, I can, but you guys in the chat, let me know if you can hear this okay, because it's kind of far away. So let's try to play it. This is a pretty
What's up?
This dude really, really made BitBoy sweat. You can tell, crypto is very, very tribal. So if you're supporting some coins, the other coins will hate you and things like that. So BitBoy really has to walk a fine line here. Like Hex is kind of Hex is very much blackballed. They always say it's the North Korea of crypto. You know what I mean? So to be a Hexican, you catch a lot of shade from the rest of the crypto community. And man, BitBoy was really sweating here, big time. Let me know if you guys can hear this.
Can you turn the volume up or get the microphone closer?
And
can you hear it?
And the amazing ecosystem that Richard Hart, my boy, founded. We're seated nice and well.
I like Richard. You guys said this. I do like Richard personally. I've always said this, and I will continue to say it. Like, I just don't really understand the way that Hex works and operates, and it continues to defy logic. What I will tell you is this:
3 years uptime, 100%, no admin keys, pure DeFi.
It's true. I mean, all this you're saying is correct. I guess the question you get into is, the questions. Where did the ETH go? Who's got the ETH? What's he using? Now, he was buying Bitcoin at 56, so he's got a lot of money. So I'm not saying I have the answer to these questions, but these are the questions people ask about it. You'll put money in, got a new project, don't put money in a new project. There's a lot of things about it that if it wasn't Richard Hart and I didn't tend to like him, I would probably call it Ponzi very against it. It's got a lot of hallmarks.
Are you a Hexican?
What's that?
Are you a Hexican?
Well, here's what I'll tell you guys. What I'll tell you is, yes, my recording. Can you take it down? Oh, is it?
Look how scared he looks right there. When he saw that camera, he knew he was in trouble. I mean, what do you think is going on with BitBoy here? Remember, when Richard was in the United States, he was on a lot of different shows. He was on BitBoy Crypto, and they went to concerts together. He's kind of singing a different tune. Like what's happening here? I have a kind of a little bit of a theory. I don't really watch BitBoy, but I was kind of looking into it a little bit because I was curious myself. Why the change, right? And I noticed he's been doing a lot of like scam busting, right? So, he went to the Bahamas. He was like heckling FTX. He's in New York heckling another fund or whatever. I don't know who they are, to be honest. But he's out here doing like these scam busting investigations live on the street, right? And I think that it's a pivot for him because he really has not been talking about or shilling coins. And that's kind of what he's known for. And I think to keep his audience and retain the status of being the #1 crypto community, crypto YouTube on the internet, he has to pivot a little bit. I've had to pivot myself quite a bit. For example, like, I did a lot of trolling videos. When things are going down, it's easy to troll and laugh and meme and things like that. But when things are going up, there's nothing to troll. Like, things are good. So, you got to, like, you run out of content, and then you got to pivot to be like, okay, well, let's talk about the good things. And now we're not trolling. So now it seems like I flipped and I switched, but I literally ran out of content, ran out of material. By the way, that is how when I told it before Hex really pumped, I told my community, I was like, dude, I'm starting to change my mind. This was at the peak of the Zen craziness. I was like, and everybody was jumping ship. And I was like, guys, I really feel like we're shifting gears. I really think like peak FUD has happened. And I was right. And as from a content creator's perspective, it's because I ran out of shit to talk about. I ran out of talking shit, right? There was nothing to talk shit about. And I knew things were kind of reversing. I knew, like I actually got in like some trades a little bit late. I missed like all of January, but I could tell that there was a shift, and I could feel it. You know what I mean? So now BitBoy, he also got a letter from the SEC, right? And he, he's kind of known for putting projects out there to newbies, right? That's kind of what he's known for. And now he can't do that. So he's kind of pivoting into this scam busting thing. So if you're scam busting and the Hex ecosystem has such a bad name, they're like, we've been wearing the scam jacket the whole time, so it conflicts with his pivot in his channel. So and at the same time, I really don't think he hates Hex, and I really don't think that like he's anti-Richard Hart or anything like that. But I think for his new model, he really can't go on here and start pumping Hex and start shilling Hex because he's Mr. Scam Buster now. That's kind of my theory. I know it's a bit brash and it's a little bit real, but hey, we call this the Wolf Pack for a reason. So we're a little bit blunt on this channel. What do you think? Like, why the pivot? Like, what's up with this? Why the change?
Well, again, so the diplomat in me has to look at the business model that he has to run. He's in the United States. He has employees. He operates a compound now. I think he bought from maybe buying and selling cryptocurrency. Maybe that's where I think he even had tweets about it costing $10 million. So he has a compound, which is all of his video editing and all of his staff and research and things like that, right? And famously even leaked maybe 6 months or a year ago, maybe not even necessarily leaked because I think it was a relatively public document, was here is the charge that the YouTube channel will charge a new product or project to be talked about, to be tweeted about, to
$40,000 for a dedicated video,
right? To influence.
$20,000 for a mention. Sorry to talk over you, but 30, like
so
30.
Basically, so basically, there's a fee for it's a pay for play. It's fee for influence. It's fee for audience, right? For views, for clicks, right? That is what it is. And I don't think that there's necessarily harm in some types of marketing and advertising. Like when you see a beer commercial and all the cheerleaders are around the fat slob, like you're like, why? Because he's drinking beer? Like that's why? No, there's marketing, there's influence, right? There's fantasy and a lot of that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So like when it comes to these agreements and contracts between an entity and a representative or leader like BitBoy is, and he has built an influence, I think, over 5 or 6 years. I think his YouTube is 5 years old. His Twitter is like 5 years old, something like that. There's accountability. And who is the accountability? Is it necessarily now, when you're talking about his pivot may be that in order to make content about a product or a DEX or a company or anything to do with crypto, he might require a letter of indemnification, basically relieving him of responsibility or culpability necessarily. Like there are ways you can construct and say, if I am told by a company that their product is decentralized, that it's admin key free, and that it has some kind of yield element to it, then I'm going to say that on camera and I'm going to speak that marketing to my audience. However, I'm not necessarily, or my company is not culpable. Like, so there's a letter of indemnification that might be the case. And I remember he used to say things like, here's the fee for service. Here's what it is to tweet about it, make content about it, highlight it on around the blockchain and things like that. And maybe his business practices altered. Maybe they changed because these things do have audiences riled up. There are histories of influencers, whether it's him or others, that promote a project, the project rug pulls, there's accountability, there's social capital loss, there's financial capital loss, maybe in lawsuit, right? And so being reasonably cautious as a marketer, which is what BitBoy is, he markets his attention, he markets his influence, he is paid per hour, basically, for the influence that he delivers. And so, that, I mean, that's how a business operates, right? That's his function, his marketing.
Yeah, and I don't see. Sorry, go ahead.
And I don't see that as necessarily a bad thing. The heat is, if you'll finish playing the video, there's a couple of you asking for the rest of the video. And then also you might want to acknowledge that you had a new member that joined your
TD, shout out to you, bro. Thank you very much for becoming a member, man. I appreciate that. Let me give you a howl. Also, I did see my boy up here, Kosher Warrior. Shout out to you, bro. Thank you very much for the shout out. Here, I'll hide this on stream. I just wanted, before we play, I just want to say I really don't have a problem with him charging either. Like, the thing is like, if you want really good content, this dude has a studio, this dude has a team, he has editors, he has researchers, you know, analysts, things like that. If you want premium content, dude, it costs money. Like, otherwise BitBoy is going to be going to work at HSBC or something and then doing this in the spare time. What kind of quality of product do you think that you're going to get? You know, like, if somebody that you either got to be like retired, you know what I mean? Or you have to be working double time to be putting out content, you know? So if you're making money from making content, you get better content. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I've learned, because like, I've only done giveaways, you know, I've never got a single like donation or anything like that, but shout out to my members. Thank you for that. But it's just like, yeah, dude, if I could sell my business and do content creation nonstop the whole time, and that's what I get paid to do, the quality of content will go way, way up. So yeah, I really don't have a problem with paid content, things like that. You know, I've kind of changed my mind, because it's a handful to run a business and to also run a channel. So let's finish this out.
That's another hexagon of mine.
Look, I will say this. This is what I will say. I will say there are some coins that we are going to be adding to our portfolio.
There you go.
That I never thought we would add to our portfolio.
All right.
And that doesn't mean that we're going to get in depth and we're going to support those coins from a content perspective. But it does mean when we get back to doing portfolio, because I don't know if y'all know, like, almost all our altcoins are on Celsius. That's why we've gotten away from doing the public portfolio videos, because we don't know how much we have anymore, because so much of it's on there, we don't know if we're getting back. So we're just trying to wait. So me and TJ are actually meeting next week about what coins we're going to be wanting to add. And I will say they're having conversations. And just from a pure speculation perspective, because it started to run a little bit, it doesn't look bad for just a pure price speculation. We got to be careful, because if something were to ever happen, I'm not willing to put my name. Does that make sense? So I hope the Hexagons are good with my stance on that.
Much appreciated.
What's that?
Okay, so I'm not sure if dude is actually like shilling anything else at this point, because like I said, I don't watch it, but he just seems really careful. Now, one thing I do know, last summer I was really watching BitBoy all the time, because I just, like you guys, I stream like all freaking day long content. And he's pretty decent, a little bit noob, but he did show one portfolio where he had 100,000 hex. He had 100,000 hex, and just don't quote me on this, but at that time, hex was about 32 cents. So they did do it. And he also has mentioned before that he did do PulseChain as well. Okay, so he already is in hex, and I think that, you know, they're probably buying. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, it was up like 200 some percent. It's like up 194% right now from the beginning of the year. So I mean, you'd be crazy not to at least dabble a little bit into something that's obviously performing, you know, but it sounds like he's in it, but he doesn't really want to just, like he said, put his name on it. Or
let me answer a couple of things. One is someone had donated. I don't know the address. Was someone as a Hexagon had donated to BitBoy's publicly known account. And I think it was around $300 worth of hex. Don't quote me, but I think it was a few $100s worth of hex. And then later he supposedly had said, and he even had a later stream year or two later saying that one of his staff, one of his peers, I think on the Beards and Bitcoin kind of show or whatever he was doing before, had gotten hacked and had lost a lot of their other cryptocurrency, something along those lines, that they lost their other cryptocurrency. And to make him whole, make that person whole that was his staff or partner or something along those lines, that they had sold the hex that was donated or given to them, donated, right, by an anonymous hex guy, $300, $200 or $300, saying, you know, check this out, look at it. You know, wasn't buying influence, wasn't paying fee for marketing. Obviously, marketing didn't happen from BitBoy's perspective or his team. However, there was a holding, and the holding, I may be wrong, but I think that BitBoy had said on YouTube in a stream that when they sold, it was around $80,000 that made the guy whole, that made the hack of his business partner or his employee whole. So they sold hex that was donated, made a ridiculous profit, but then didn't really acknowledge that climb in value, right? So that's kind of what, there's some stress between the quote unquote hexagons that are trying to get the knowledge about yield and the knowledge about the product actually being DeFi and the protocol being immutable, those kinds of elements in front of a bigger influence or bigger audience. It's not clout chasing. It is because 1 million people pay attention to BitBoy, and they pay attention. They're giving of their time, and they're giving sometimes of their finance to join courses, to learn how crypto works. And it is interesting that you had just said that very, very recently, he had an issue with what FTX was doing. And he had an issue with what Sam Bankman-Fried was doing. And he became the rescuer or the valiant, I'm going to represent DeFi because you shouldn't be able to force the regulation, everything to go through your exchange only, right? Well, is that really a valiant effort, right? So I saw the same things. BitBoy's going to Bahamas and stalking Sam and running up and making sure that he's at the courthouse to cover it, right? He's building social influence when it comes to this kind of representing the do-good elements of cryptocurrency, decentralization, and all these other, permissionless transactions, right? However, Hex is provably on blockchain transacted, and on blockchain with all of the different tools that are available. BitBoy continues to claim ignorance, and he continues to claim that he doesn't understand how Hex works. His statement in that video clip was something along the lines of, well, you don't know where the ETH went, right? But he won't make comment about where the Bitcoin went in the Ethereum ICO. He won't comment to where the VC money went for launch of Solana or other things that might be represented in L1s. He won't make comment about the marketing budget that was assigned probably, or at least affiliate incomes that came from things that he popularized on his channel to his audience, such as Celsius, BlockFi, other things, FTX, that got wrecked, right? And they got wrecked because you can't claim that you are representing the flock of interested persons at a church and then go bang whores and snort cocaine. You can't do that. Like it's not congruent with the action, right? So that's the issue. And when I made the tweet, I made a tweet that was not, I don't think it was hostile. I don't think it was aggressive. I think it was just factual. And the factual thing is influencers are paid for their time. There's no problem with that. I see 1,000 television ads or YouTube ads about cars and perfume and beer and everything else that gets marketed. Clothing, you're going to be more sexy, you're going to be taller, you're going to be more attractive if you buy this product. So that's all fine. And even in cryptocurrency, to a degree, as long as you're transparent and saying, look, I have a letter of indemnification as a policy for my company. And my company will only represent a product to my audience that I have built over years of effort and honestly risk, right? Because BitBoy has gotten swatted. BitBoy has had his house attacked basically by the police force in his city, right? There are threats to someone that has influence, right? Not just because he may or may not hold crypto, but because he represents an investment idea. Whether somebody follows it and says, "Oh, do your own research. This is what I represent," or "This is not." You got to, it is part of the advocacy for any product or service that you take on responsibility, right? The same thing is happening with the FTX fallout, with the Tom Brady, or with Giselle Bündchen, or with other people, even what's his name, Kevin O'Leary, right? You are being paid, and if you're being paid and you're disclosing it appropriately, that's all fine. And if you are representing to your audience that you are eating your own dog food, basically, that's a phrase, that's a catchphrase. You're saying, "Hey, I believe in this product and I'm buying it myself," right? You don't. The thing is, Hex and Hexicans don't pay people. I even saw inside your stream just now someone saying or thinking that maybe it's because BitBoy, RH was paying BitBoy for marketing budget and then stopped, right? Well, I can tell you firsthand that far beyond BitBoy's influence, far beyond his influence, people with a lot bigger brand, a lot bigger influence than BitBoy, Richard has turned down those kinds of offers because I've arranged some of those offers in the past. And those offers have been, "Hey, if you'll pay me this amount of money, I will talk about your product." Okay, well, that's not going to happen. Like, we do not want, and Richard does not want, and Hexicans don't want conflict with Howey Test. We do not want to threaten the idea that it is or is not a security. We do want this to be grassroots, and we do want it to be popularized because that's really how cryptocurrency began. It began with people running an executable on their computer, and they were mining Bitcoin, right? And all the history as far as that went. And this evolution of marketing to say it's no longer peer-to-peer cash, it's no longer store of value, it's no longer the narrative that you're only going to pay attention to charts and you're going to trade positively or negatively into wealth. Like, that is a position. BitBoy in the past, I think, has even said, I may be wrong, has said, this is what my portfolio is and this is what I'm holding. Well, that may not be your whole portfolio, and it may be a marketing reason,
public address,
polarizing this thing, right? Because then people are going to follow that buy. If all of the Pelosi's trades on stock were public when she was making the buy button and the sell button, she probably would have a different outcome, right?
Yeah.
So, like, some of these things, I think that BitBoy has such a great capacity in those little video clips where you see him and Richard hanging out or whatever it is. Of course, it's validation to Hexicans. We're like, yeah, that's great. It's getting into a bigger market. When Ivan on Tech says something, yeah, it's getting into a bigger market. More people are going to be aware of the product of Hex. And if that influencer is principled, they will say, "Hey, I've heard for 3 years that this thing is DeFi. I've heard for 3 years that this thing is immutable, that it can generate yield on blockchain without having a third party as a center point or as a middleman," right? I've heard about that. To claim ignorance in that clip, I don't know how it works. I mean, the guy spends thousands of hours per year at least.
He's got a team.
Products,
he's got
right?
a team that's researching.
Right. He's got a team of researchers, and he's got all these different resources on tap, right? And to claim that I don't understand how it works when I can explain it in 5 sentences, that just doesn't fly, man. I mean, I think he has an amazing capacity to be a leader. You don't, like I said, I'm not harming his business with my comment. He did shill FTX, he did shill Celsius, he did shill BlockFi, and the accountability that he was pissed at me and called me cancer and terrible representative of Hex and things like that in his tweet, it was unfounded. He didn't know me, and he was just basically triggered over another Hexican giving him shit over an untruth or at least an incongruence in his statements. That's the issue.
Yeah, there's a few things. One, the whole thing about it was okay to shill FTX. It was okay to shill Celsius and all these things that, like, obviously you give up your admin keys and have unrealistic yield. Remember, in crypto, if you don't know where the yield comes from, you're the yield, right? So it was okay to do that, but it wasn't okay to talk about Hex. And I boil that down to political correctness. It's all about image. Like Celsius had a squeaky clean image. It was very corporate. It was supposed to be safe. It was huge. So it's okay to talk about this and not really actually do any vetting whatsoever. But it's not okay to talk about Hex because, oh, well, it's a scam. Where did the ETH go? And blah, blah, blah. Even though it's running, it's flawless. You can look on chain and see everything that is going on. But it's just because of political correctness. And we're like anti that pretty much on this channel. That's why it's called the Wolf Pack. But now BitBoy just kind of went off the hinges. You had made this video where you said that you would like to talk to him, explain Hex, kind of mend fences, like what I always try to do, and I have like little influence, right? But when I like post a tweet, I'll write Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, DeFi, Hex, all in the same category. We're all the same tribe, we're the crypto tribe, we're the DeFi tribe. I want to normalize Hex and not be some sort of crazy outlier lone wolf. You know what I mean? So he comes back and he's pissed. He calls you cancer for calling him out on dude, you lost all this money in Celsius, but you're calling us a scam. It was a little bit of a spicy comment, but the thing is, it's true. And for people to grow and for the culture, like to grow, we have to really look this thing in the eyes, in the face, and be like, yo, we made a mistake on Celsius. And, BitBoy is kind of out here running around doing all this scam busting, but he promoted all those things. It's kind of like, don't look at me, So it was kind of unfounded in my opinion. And it was kind of like egotistical, like his ego got hurt a little bit. So like then he calls you cancer and then he trolls Jack Levin. He's showing the Zen chart and stuff and like saying, if this is bad, I would hate to see the 22nd employee at Google. Obviously, Jack Levin was the 21st. It's funny, like and the crazy thing about this whole thing about him going off the rails, Hexicans have like this reputation of being dramatic and calling each other out, fighting on Twitter, trolling, things like that. I'm just saying, BitBoy, you belong here, bro. Look at these tweets. Look at this trolling. Look at this trash talk. Look at this Twitter fight. Dude, you're a Hexican. BitBoy, come home. Come home. You're a Hexican, bro. Trust me. You fit right in. So I just
well, that's the thing is, again, and again, if there's an opportunity in the future, I think we probably know a lot of people in common between us. And if there's an opportunity in the future where we can have a friendly conversation, whether it's private, completely off camera, not recorded, that's fine. If it's something else, public, then it's fine. I'm not really someone that chooses violence on a debate or a stream. Like, I'm not that gladiatorial personality. I'll hold my ground. I'm a reasonable conversationalist and things like that. However, this was interesting where he said, Jack was basically saying it wasn't cool. And my comment was, if it were true, I was following logic. I was responding to someone's tweet in the thread, and they were saying that the reason that BitBoy didn't make a more positive statement was because of SEC. That was his thing. And I had said, that's not congruent. Basically, that's not logical, because if that were true, he wouldn't have been paid to market platforms and products that gave a budget. So we have been approached over the years by most of the major influencers, the ones that have very large channels in the crypto audience of YouTube. And we have turned it down as individuals. We've turned it down as collective OG. Richard has turned it down that I know about. So like, there's all kinds of reasons that we do get approached with hand and, for marketing budgets, right? For people to say, oh, I will talk about your product if you will just pay me this amount. But we've always held that line. That's one of the reasons why, even when it comes to the SEC thing, there's issues with Kim Kardashian receiving payment over a particular product. There's issues with even the influence of a Logan Paul or other people that, Snoop Dogg, right? That gets, as a marketing budget, still gets, pushback when a product goes bust, right? That's because I think, again, you can see in contract how the yield is. You can see in contract Longer pays better, bigger pays better, all those things. Even inside my private link to you, Steph is commenting about the yield of longer versus short-term staking. There's a lot more short-term staking happening right now in Hex. And, to claim I don't know how it works this far into the chart and this far into the history is disingenuous. I'm just, I put it at that. And again, I want to, my tweet was, stand up, BB, stand up, big boy, BitBoy, stand up, Ben, be the leader and say, here is a category of products that our research team has looked at the code. And regardless of what you think of the origin story of the AA, where's the ETH go, apply the same exact scrutiny to every other L1, every other market made product inside of cryptocurrency, because these are all market made. So
Yeah,
I
have
transparency from BitBoy. That's all.
Yeah, and I have zero issue with how you handle that, because, like you said, we really do have to hold everybody to the standard that they're holding Hex to. Looking at it under a microscope. Why didn't you do that to FTX? And this is the part of political correctness where it's ugly. Like, what you did was not, what you said to him was not wrong. It was politically incorrect. You know what I mean? And we can't be politically correct when it comes to people's life savings, when it comes to people's portfolio, when it comes to people's money. We have to actually be blunt and be like, yo, call out culture in Hex, I think, is actually more beneficial than it is toxic, because we have to hold people accountable. We can't have these things boiling in the background and everybody knows it, everybody thinks it, but it doesn't get brought up. This is something that's boiling in the background, dude. You shield Celsius. Right now you lost your money. A lot of people got absolutely wiped out because of this. And it's great that you're doing the scam busting thing and running around and doing that. But can we talk about that a little bit? And can we have a conversation how, like maybe Hex is not treated as fairly, that more scrutiny has been put onto Hex than other things. And sometimes we need to be called out so we can grow, so we could see where we are wrong, admit that we were wrong, and move forward as a community in a decentralized direction. You can see the SEC is being very strict about centralized entities, centralized staking, things like that. The whole thing is moving decentralized. Can we have that conversation? On camera would be great, but even privately would be nice. Can we squash this thing? Can Hex be part of the crypto community? Do we have to be the black sheep? Do we have to be North Korea? How can we work this out? And I think you're the guy that can do it. You're the guy that can kind of mend things and we could gel. It's already happened with Ivan on tech. He's kind of like the dev community, and, we're doing devy stuff. So of course he's going to be interested. He's also in on the SAC himself, but the BitBoy is definitely the general normie culture of the crypto community, and mending it with him could really, really open up huge opportunities for Hex, which has been running flawlessly, for all this time. There's one more thing that I thought of when you were talking that I just want to kind of bring up. Okay, so you guys were offered many, many opportunities to go on big platforms, but you had to pay. Typically, that's how things work in the crypto space. You have denied it. So could that be why the outrage marketing happened? Because to punch through, you have to be absolutely outrageous and the talk of the town and become basically a meme. So you have to, let's say for BitBoy, it's $40,000 to go on a stream, right? Well, if you're not going to pay, you have to provide $40,000 worth of content to be on there for free. And if you're so crazy, if you're so outrageous and you're wearing all this Louis and you're flexing all these cars and watches and you're just basically a media storm and a meme, you can get that 40,000 position for free, And that's kind of where the outrage marketing to me is starting to make sense a little bit, what's your take on that?
You gotta look at how repugnant Trump was to the media platforms, and pre-election especially. and they did not want to cover him. They did not want to cover him. They did not want the threat of Trump. However, outrage got a lot more free press. Like when you look at the budget of presidential elections, they spend billions of dollars each camp to basically get their message out about who's going to be the next president for 4 years. And I think that when they were looking at the budget spend for marketing, you know, placing ad campaign advertisement on television channels and all the different social media platforms and all that content, look at how much happened for free. And it happened for free because Trump was doing outrageous or saying outrageous things, according to the political incorrectness. You know, there was, for God's sake, there was 1 million people that wore pink pussy hats and did a march on DC. How much did those people get paid to talk about Trump negatively, but to talk about Trump? Nothing.
It's free press. Basically, his enemies got him elected. His enemies got him elected just by talking about him nonstop. Then it just gets ingrained in your mind, you know, like you become a household name.
So part of that, you know, I think that Richard observes the marketplace. He observes the cryptocurrency marketplace. He observes the things that tend to have worked in other products or other DEXs or other L1s, and then he tries to incorporate them. You know, Apple, for as much love and zealotry as it has as a company, or for the product, I think with iPod, probably the first thing, it was not really innovative. It took pieces off of the shelf from other inventions and other companies and then assembled it, right? A lot of people in Japan, or actually all over the world, they know about the karaoke machine. Well, the karaoke machine was just assembled from parts off of the shelf. It wasn't something breakthrough in new technology. It was already known technologies put together to make a karaoke machine. And the guy that put it together, actually the inventor, the assembler, the one that put it all together off of shelf elements, he didn't really make any great profit from the karaoke, but everybody knows what it is, and everybody, you know, people that choose to use it as an entertainment device. So, like, I think Richard observes things that are working. He doesn't want to invent the wheel. He wants to make a better wheel. You know, so like it's that kind of thing that he observes about social marketing too, especially when he's not going to do an ad spend. He railed on us all because we volunteered to throw money toward NASCAR. And he railed on us about, like, that was a bad spend. You know, if you're going to spend money, you can do it efficiently in other ways. Like, he's not in control of hexagons. Hexagons choose what they do with their funds. A lot of the funds may or may not have come from cryptocurrency sales. It may or may not have come from their own businesses or their own brand influence, or, you know, diverting of margin from other things that would have gone to other investments, right? These are all opportunities that we all give up basically to popularize the product and the protocol of Hex.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one thing that a lot of people don't talk about is PulseX. Why don't people talk about PulseX as much? Everybody's excited about Pulse. Maybe PulseX is going to be a sleeper. I don't know. Typically, you don't want to go. Typically, you want to be a counter trader, not with trends, but with like specific moves. So if everybody wants PulseChain, I guess so. But I see that maybe as a buying opportunity of flipping some of my PLS into PLSX as all the late onboards get in. Now, one thing is, on the PulseX GitLab, we did have Richard Hart in there yesterday on February 26th, last activity. So what do you think? Are you bullish on PulseX, and why or why not?
Oh, I'm super bullish. You know, I'm very bullish myself, but that's my own bias about, you know, the content that K4K crypto has put out is compelling. The game theory about, you know, even being able to play with it for over a year on testnet. Like, I don't know that there's going to be anything different about PulseX launch. What I would like about PulseX on the testnet that releases would be if the Fixer bot has run. I would love to see that game theory played out about the Fixer bot, you know, moving liquidity to PulseX. I don't think that played in the previous test versions, but yeah, I like it. I definitely like it a lot. And I think that there's different people that make content about, you know, ratio trading, and, you know, like there's going to be a high attention to an interest in PulseChain because it's the easiest to understand if people have any experience with Ethereum. So they tend to look at and say, well, the L1 is always going to outperform any of the endpoints. Well, that you can't really use that as an example because this is the first time I know about that a L1 and a DEX release at the same time, that they're both being able to be played with at the same time. DEXs have always been after the L1 has existed, and it usually was traded as an L1, on central exchanges as a majority, whereas I don't know how much volume, if any, will be on central exchanges on this launch. So it's very interesting that Richard signed into GitLab. I think that's another reason for, a compelling reason for people to speculate on the timing of testnet release is he hasn't signed in over this past time that I know about. I haven't really paid attention as closely as HBID. And another thing to keep in mind is that is based on I think it is based on your time zone, the time stamping you're seeing. That's based on you.
Yeah.
Whereas Richard and HVID, when they did their screen, when HVID did her screenshot, she's in a different country. In her country in Europe, it looked like it was the 28th. So keep in mind that timestamp is actually very current, even though it's the 27th in most of the United States.
Why do you think? Why do you think he went into PulseX? And one thing before you answer, I just want to say, hey, shout out to the Crypto Cowboys, shout out to Marcel, Branny, Toby, shout out to my boys in the Crypto Cowboys over there in Germany. And so why all you guys like in the chat? Here's what I'm curious about. Next time Richie Boy tweets, you should tag. Can we get an update on PulseX? Because I'm really curious, dude. Something's going on here. Nobody's asking about it. Nobody's talking about it. Let's all add him. Not add him right now. Don't. He's busy. Whatever. Doing whatever. He's shopping. Leave him alone. But next time he posts, let's all rush in there and just PulseX update. I'm very, very curious about that. What do you think? Why is he coming into here? And the AMM Fixer bot, if that baby is live during testnet V3, I'm going in hard into Hex because I know that it's close. So,
yeah, that's the two things for me. Is this is a good sign in my opinion because I don't know when the last timestamp. I don't know if you can see the histories of when people log in or when they do actions individually. I'm not really that familiar. I just was looking. I found the link through HVid's content and then looked it up to see the timestamp of the most recent. But does it show the history of when he signed in activity on that tab on the bottom left? Maybe I don't know. Or how often he has signed in. Maybe it's the first time he's ever signed in. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going into activity right here. I'm going to turn off, so you might be blinded for a second. I'm going to turn off super dark mode. Yep. There's no activities here, groups. He's in PulseChain and PulseX, and that's it.
Okay.
Project, snippets, followers following. Overview.
What is there was a little saved on that previous screen. There was a little saved that said 17 and then the PulseChain was like 52. What was the thing you just looked at?
Contributor to projects, groups. We'll just look at all of them. This thing?
There. So on that screen, what does that 17 and that 52 mean?
The 17 is how many people saved it. And 9, I'm guessing, is followers. It doesn't say. And then there's the PulseChain thing, 52 saved. I think that's how many people are actually devs.
Okay.
So, because if we go back here and we look, I think there's 9. Let's try to confirm this really quick. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's devs. So that part's devs. Let's go back to Richie Boy. And then we got following. He's not following anybody.
So he started his account September of 18.
Yep, 18. And he hasn't, well, with the activity, I don't think it's going to show his logins. I think it's just going to show any contributions that he made to it. Okay. So if we go back to groups and then, so there's 9 devs and then there's 8 devs in PulseChain. And I wonder if they're the same ones. I don't spend a lot of time on GitLab.
Well, so the thing is that I don't know if there's a permission thing because he might be the super user or he might be the founder of the project itself. And if he is, then it might be that he has to grant permissions to run certain actions. Like he might be the super user. He needs to log in to add some permission. And so I again, the two things that I would love to see that are going to tell me, in my opinion, that we are closer to testnet and or mainnet is Richard popularizing validators as a method to single side stake. Like, are you going to earn more PulseChain by being a validator? And he'll walk, and I think he should walk through, here's how you can do it with protocol without having hardware. And it might be some tool that's available on the PulseX DEX, or, some kind of interface to, versus how it used to be, which was the delegated proof of stake version for validating. So I think, him walking through the different theories on how people can ROI by basically staying in one product. They're not being liquidity providers between two products. They're not being one side of a V3 kind of one single side buy in or sell out of a single token. But when he's walking through, here's what would help to decentralize the network if you're running a home laptop, and this is your risk of slashing, and this is your risk of the internet went down or my house caught on fire. This is how you keep your keys in your 32 million PLS safe, even though you are using it for validating. Like, to me, when he's walking through that content, especially from the throne or from his castle, then I'll be like, damn, we're close. We're right here. If I see something along the lines of on the test net, and this time the AMM fixer bot has moved liquidity from Uniswap and SushiSwap and all these other platforms, I'll be like, damn, we are so close. Like, those two things to me are what's going to make the L1 of PulseChain taken more seriously by the influencers such as Ivan or BitBoy or Chico or whoever wants to make content.
Yeah, once we start, because they have to like kind of teach people the ins and outs of it all. So once they show you how to set up a node and things like that, I mean, I don't know. I don't know, man. Knowing Richard, he is such a good marketer. He is so good nursing the price. Like, let's not forget what happened here. Now, I'm not saying that Richard's the god whale. I know he's not, but the god whale bought down here, and then Richie's announcement was right here, and we had just closed above the bear market trend line. It's not a coincidence. Richard knows how to prop up price, how to like pump the price. So with that theory being pretty much everybody agrees to, I'm saying once the V3 comes out, there's going to be a lot of, I wouldn't call it shilling, but it's going to go very public. And what that's going to do is pump the hell out of Hex. If you missed PulseChain, if you missed PulseX, don't worry. The most liquid pair is going to be Hex PLS, Hex PLSX. You know what I mean? So get it while it's hot. You know what I mean? And there's really no freaking liquidity. I mean, if you take a look, here's Uniswap version 3 right here. This has changed pretty drastically all the way down to about, 3 cents. Over here, that's where the liquidity is. But up here, there's nothing. So once this thing goes live, once we get the Ivan on Tech interview, once everybody starts hearing that, there's a new layer 1 and you still can get in, but you should probably buy some Hex. I think, knowing what I know, I think as the market was dumping, right, Richie Boy announces that the bug is squashed at the most perfect timing. I think he's going to use the same kind of timing and really, really, really move that price of Hex up as we're waiting for mainnet launch. I think
the market reaction will do it. I don't think he moves it. I think his commentary, you see, obviously, when he makes a tweet, if it's anything relevant to PulseChain's timing, then you see a 1 penny move. It goes from 5.7 to 6.7, or it goes from 4.7 to 5.7. Like, you see the reaction from the marketplace itself. And some of them are scalpers. Of course, they're going to react to the tweet and then sell 2 or 3 hours later. But the price tends to set a floor. It makes those nice flags that you like to analyze,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what else do we got here? We're about done. We're about at an hour. Is there anything else that you want to bring up? I think we're pretty much through
well, I did a stream or two recently. One was with I did a stream recently. One was with a guy that's making a course. He's making a course. He's been around for a while. He's a familiar avatar. Now he has basically become public by putting his face and camera out there. and he's created content like a curriculum to educate people that are no corners. It's all really for no corner content. And I think there were some curriculum improvements that could have been done on the security chapters. And some Hexicans were really enthusiastic about updating that information. So I had a stream recently about that. That was useful. Again, I'm not negative about people monetizing their time or create. There's a guy that wrote a book and he put it on Amazon, so you can buy the physical book or you could download the book about the hex phenomenon. Right? I like that guy making money. I want him supporting himself through accurate information. The same sort of thing with there's other people that have made some kind of coursework. I think Crypto Coffee has a program. He even has an affiliate program about educating people on staking and things like that to do with Hex. And if the free information that's accurate can get to new eyes, awesome. That's great. Great SEO, great content. Look at all that value that you received for free. And the human thing about psychology is also people tend to not want free things. They tend to want something that costs something for free. It's different. And so I think that you should charge if your information is well-researched, accurate, truthful, digestible, spoon-fed. That's all great, because there's a certain percentage of the market that free won't get to, and free doesn't motivate the marketer or the developer or content creator to put that much energy into it, right? It's just not going to motivate them if they're doing all this altruistic free work, right? We do it because we care, like we're passionate in general about cryptocurrency or about the Hex product. We do it like we volunteer. You're volunteering your time, but you're also building influence. I'm building influence. So there's no such thing as free. It's just different versions of cost,
Yeah, and another thing that I'd like to bring up on that is that as the Hex community is really, really tight knit, and like some of the super OGs, are very strict, like Papa B, he was trying to just like, they were like attacking this guy on Twitter and trying to run him out of the Hex community. It's like, dude, as somebody who like has different views on things, I'm from like the original crypto space. I'm from like the other crowd pre-Hex. I've been here pre-Hex, and those guys don't like the Hex community, So like if you have somebody that's bridging over, you have to realize like the people, look, I get DMs sometimes. They're like, dude, your channel is awesome. Like if you just dropped Hex, you'd be 100,000 subs. I literally, I can show you these. I literally get these all the time, and it's like, oh, that's funny because I'm blackballed mainly by Hex community. If you're not preaching the gospel, like if you're not an RH Maxi, if you're not a Hex Maxi, you get ignored, blackballed, flamed on Twitter, all these things. Like, why should influencers come to Hex? Lighten up a little bit in the Hex community and be more acceptive of new guys coming in, because those guys are getting flamed from their friends for talking about Hex. And then you come over here and you get flamed by the Hex community, and you're like, why all the drama? Why can't we all just get along? You know what I mean? Like, you got to be more acceptive of other people and different views, like not everyone's going to be, look at BitBoy, he's not a maxi in any coins. He's not a Bitcoin maxi. He's not ETH maxi. He talks about a lot of different coins, and a lot of different coins have potential. So, just lighten up, Hexicans, just a little bit. If somebody wants to talk about Hex, they're from another community, give them a break. Because they're already taking the heat for being there to begin with. So
yeah, and again, to give credit to BitBoy is a wealth of knowledge. He does have researchers. He is talking to founders of everything under the sun when it comes to crypto. He does have access to parties that I can't get to, you can't get to, and things like that, right? So he does have an ability to elbow rub, partly because of 1 million subscribers, partly because of his constant YouTube, information and TikToks and all these other things too that his team assembles for him, right? So props to him for basically what's called skylining in the military. Basically, he's on the horizon and you can see his silhouette to snipe him, right? So he's himself. So props to him for basically being out there. As much as I can, I want to praise the guy. He's taken some shots. Now on the other side, I still want to inspire people to do better, right? I don't get compensated. I'm not paid. I don't have any kind of, other than maybe having access to Richard on occasion or OGs on occasion, because I pay for my flight to go visit things, or I attend conferences and things like that at my dime and my cost. That's the only validation that people that are really hardcore about Hex are. Some of them are anonymous avatars and they just get really passionate. And again, kudos to those guys too, even though they're serving the role of troll, and it makes it harder for this diplomacy role often. I still am happy that there's a passionate zealot that is advocating the principles of Hex that are built into its code. So I love some of this, but it is frustrating on the other hand too.
Yeah, but don't scare people away, okay?
Yeah. And if they want to make content and they want to do it voluntarily because they too are taking up that burden, basically, of educating people in the tragedy of the commons, like educating people for no yield, no benefit other than maybe social validation. Kudos. That's awesome. And that's exactly what, again, I want to give praise to Papa Boner. Papa's been around 3-4 years, constantly, all the time, docs himself very early on. He volunteers thousands and thousands of hours over this journey to walk individuals through their security and make sure that they're well kept, right? So I do like that about the people that are what's called the old guard, right? The OG, whatever you want to call it, right? And I love that volunteerism. It does allow in a lot of ways for a trust to develop about the community, right? Because there's that we didn't disappear during the bear market. We've been here strong as ever. We are, I think there's a lot of noble principles built into the code that helps align the people. I like that part of it, but part of it is also the zealotry. Sometimes even in my own threads, I have to mute or ban people from my own threads that have a Hex logo, that have a Hex, retweets of everything to do with Hex and Richard Hart love and all that stuff like that. And sometimes I have to ban them too. And it is because it is harder. It is harder for me to reach some of these audiences when, I've got these overzealotry, and it just makes it more challenging to communicate. That's all.
Yeah, man. And with that, dude, that was eloquently put. I really can't say it any better myself. Just lighten up, support your local Hexkin or support your local influencer. Shoot him a like, leave a comment. He's doing content for you for free and entertaining you and informing you and maybe doing analysis for you. Hey, the best way to support him is to leave a comment, drop a like, things like that. And so with that,
before we go, update me, because when PulseChain launches, I think there might be forks of maybe, are you still working on your product and your project? What's happening with you?
I'm working on the NFT Wolfpack right now, kind of hitting some hiccups here. I think I'm gonna I've scrapped it and redone it 3 times already. So if you're a dev, if you're
game theory and graphic images, right? You're doing game theory type stuff, right?
Yeah, it's not just going to be an NFT pack, and kind of like, we've been struggling with it for a little while. That'd be great. That'd be a great way to support, just to buy NFT, and who knows, it might actually go up. But I want them to be good. I don't want them just to be like, I don't want them to.
You've been paying attention to Poor Pleb? Have you been paying attention to this offshoot of the Hex community? There's a founder, his name is Hexy Bastard. And when I went to the event in England 2 years ago, or whatever it was, I went up to where he lives. He was enthusiastic. He wears like this specific kind of hat with ear flaps. And he's an interesting guy. And he launched his thing, and he very clearly has said it's just a meme. It's proof of no utility. It's proof of no useless.
That's awesome.
Right? He's very direct about it. And again, to be fair, I just like comedy when we're so stressed and anxious, right? So part of the reason that I think Dogecoin performed in the past as a meme is because it was lighthearted. It was just, even when people were marketing to their friends or peers, they would say, it's a dog coin, dude. It's not as complex as Bitcoin. Like, you don't have to be gold bug or anti-government to buy Dogecoin, right? And I think that some of that levity or some of that lightheartedness, give a guy a break kind of mentality about our hex theory. And again, I understand we put up these very strong fences, and we have a lot of fears that we communicate to new audiences about rug pulls and the dangers of code and threat to security and all that stuff. But something funny is often really enjoyed. And that's one reason why I support your channel so much is it is hard work. A lot of people don't see, even though these live streams take some significant time and brain juice, you put like 7 or 8 hours into each one of your 12-minute videos that you release. So I appreciate the levity and the funniness. It's one reason why I really like engaging you.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. Yeah, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy making memes and editing and laughing and doing analysis. So I'm just doing kind of like what I'd be doing anyway. But yeah, it is a lot of hard work, but whatever.
What else are you gonna do?
Yeah. All right.
So you want to try to wrap up, or you want to go through your last comments and
I just want to
your stuff?
do some shout outs really quick to the boys out here. Mr. Crypto J, shout out to you, dude. Danny, hi, what's going on? Question for RH. Has his devs started on the wallet? Are we launching V3 testnet with the wallet too? And I don't know, but during the HexCon 2023, he said that there was a whole nother team working on it, and he didn't seem like he really was too interested in it or in a big hurry. I'm guessing that
Richard has said the same sort of thing about other products. He has said, one day I will get to that. But in the meantime, if someone else develops something that is good, he's going to either let it thrive or comment positively or not comment at all, right? He's only going to, comment negatively and try to shine influence or shade on something if it's harmful, if it's something harmful. So like, I know that Internet Money has his wallet that he's developing that is based on PulseChain. It's based on the first thing that they're going to see is PulseChain, even though it's going to interact with other blockchains. And I haven't seen any shade thrown from Richard about that particular product that will launch, right? And it's a wallet. And there's other, people like that do hold wallets that Richard has supported or popularized, like Staker app. That's still a wallet. It's a non-custodial wallet, but it's still a wallet. I think it's a custodial. You have a Gnosis Safe as well. So like, whether he's developing one or not, doesn't really matter. He hasn't commented about it. I certainly don't want him to make a sacrifice for it. So I'm good.
He mentioned it in HexCon 2023. He just said there's a whole nother team. It has nothing to do with anything else.
Yeah.
And I would say, I don't know exactly what he said, but paraphrasing is he's not too worried about it.
Yeah, that's fine.
So what's up, guys? Shout out to Ben Dubard. Remy, shout out to you, bro. And Funny Jim, blink twice if you can read this.
I'm AI. Didn't you know that you're AI generated commentator?
Funding GPT.
Funding GPT. It's all it is now.
Funding GPT. All right, guys. With that, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Join the Wolf Pack, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.